welcome to Colours of Australia, where we talk to some remarkable migrants about their lives and achievements and some of the obstacles they have overcome. I consider them our real trailblazers who have done some wonderful things in the community. My name is Menaka Iyengar Cook. I'm an author, a therapist, a businesswoman, and a social activist. Today I talk to Mr. Neil Banerjee, whose work connects community engagement, education and training through the performing arts. He is the founder of Nautanki Theatre and has been directing and acting in plays, including at the Riverside Theatre at Parramatta. Welcome, Neil.
Thank you, Maneka.
Let's start, Neil, and let me ask you, what brought you to Australia?
I came to Australia to study. I am perhaps the early international students during the millennial period. That brought me to Australia.
Okay. What were you studying?
I came to study here in IT, business IT. I was doing my post-graduation at University of Sydney in business IT.
When you came to Australia, how did the experiences that you had in Australia then affect you and the view of the world you have now?
Menaka, there are a lot to talk about my early experiences, I would say. But all I can say that I was perhaps a bit sensitive and reactive with all my naivety in those early days in this country. But fight for the fair go. Getting my voice heard perhaps helped me, and I was quite persistent. I was very persistent with that, and I think that all first generation migrants, they have this common nature because a lot of things in their life are at stake in their adopted homeland.
And that makes me wonder how you went from business IT to the field of media and theatre. What happened to you?
This is really hard for me to pinpoint any incident that actually brought me to this fantastic world of live performance and theatre. But yes, I mean, academically, I was studying business IT. But after coming here, I got involved with the community theatre. Mm-hmm. And then that has been the real start for me.
Fabulous. I saw you in the Jungle Book at the Riverside in Parramatta just about a month ago, and I really enjoyed it. I feel that anyone who's gone into this field of live performance has wonderful stories to tell. But what I want to ask you now is, did you face any great obstacles when you entered this field?
When I entered, or I should say, when I decided to enter, venture into the theatre and live performances, there was no diversity whatsoever on the Australian stage. That validated South Asian migrant experience. So to answer your question, non-inclusivity and looking at approaching the plot with a white lens was the hurdle to cross for me. As a person of colour has been my challenge. However, I decided to form Nautanki Theatre, a platform for South Asian creatives to vanguard their voice.
Which says to me that you displayed a lot of persistence to overcome some of these obstacles, because I can imagine it could not have been easy at that stage 15 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, no, it wasn't easy. It was quite difficult, as I said. I mean, getting my voice heard. Getting people understand what exactly I have been trying to do, or I wanted to do back then. I mean, if I take the pointer back to 15 years or about 20 years back. And as I said, I mean, there was no concept of the diversity at that time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was quite challenging for me.
Tell me, you mentioned a little earlier about now bringing the Southeast or South Asian theatre to Parramatta, and that now you want to call it Mela. What do you mean by the word Mela, and how is this going to affect the cultural diversity in Sydney?
Yeah, sure. No, you're absolutely right, Manaka. The word diversity is not interpreted properly, especially on the Australian stage and on the screen as well. It's failing us somehow. I feel it is still used as uh, more or less as a this tokenism that's been happening. But the other question is to answer your the other question, the South Asian Theatre Mela, which is an annual theatre festival. We wanted to use the word Mela. It's a Indo-Persian word, which is the literal meaning is inclusivity, inclusion. This has been a festival, annual festival. We just finished the 7th year of it. This is a major community outreach program. This festival over the years actually has helped in breaking the barriers. Now, if you are a South Asian, you would understand the various divide that exists within the community. And I couldn't care less. I'm fully aware of the politics, and I am a very political theater practitioner as well. Mm-hmm. So that has been the journey, and that has been the this broad aim of that Mela, the theatre festival.
So do you believe it has had a lot of impact, considering that it has been going for about, you called it 7 years? What do you think it has had in terms of impacting diversity in Sydney?
Not too sure, because I do not have any stats or data at this stage. But I can tell you on the 4th year, University of Western Sydney did a research project, and that has been the start of synthesizing some data. So we are still collecting those data, and I should be able to present some data in next few years about the contribution, the real contribution, because the stats will actually speak for this effort, for this event. Of course, I mean, including the COVID period, the pandemic period as well. I can say that this definitely has encouraged a lot of first generation migrant to pursue art, which, when a South Asian migrates to Australia, art is not in top of their priority.
True.
Not as a career, not even as a mode of entertainment. During this COVID, I mean, all these web series and the Netflix and all those things has kind of restricting people to stay inside the household. But as we are coming out of it, we want to go back to the normal life. We want people to come out and enjoy the live performances, live theater, coming out of their house. Mm-hmm. There's a tricky period for theater, I suppose. But we are seeing that people are eager. People are sort of this pushing themselves to go back to the normal life.
You talked about bringing stories through the South Asian Mela to the stage. Is there any one particular story that really appeals to you and that may appeal to our audience?
There are many. The format of this festival has been, now this year we've changed the format, and this also is a sandpit for us, for Nautanki Theatre, to do some experiment with the concept of performance within the diaspora. It has been a bit of educational process both way, but they are actually this feeling a bit empowered. But at the same time, the audience also are related to these stories. Now, the format of the festival has been 3 short plays over a period of time, about 30 minutes each. So there have been quite a lot, quite engaging stories. I can't really say 1 or 2. There have been many.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one Fijian Indian story that was quite this amazing, and it actually is still stays in my mind. It was the stories told during their journey from India to Fiji. That was one story. There was one bilingual Urdu play about a transgender person in Pakistan, his struggle, establishing himself as a person, as his sexual orientation, and how the society was perceiving and treating him about. That was an amazing play. There was one themed play last year about a Muslim boy trying to find a rented house in one of the cities in India, and really struggling because of his identity as a Muslim.
You have really mentioned a wide range of issues, everything from gender identity to finding residential housing because you are of a different religion, and also the diaspora or the journey of Fijian Indians from their homeland to go to Fiji.
The spectrum of this festival became so diverse. From last year, we are kind of just trying to run this festival on a theme. So from last year, we are actually sort of not really trying to box the idea, but we thought that if we actually bring the plays into this festival with a theme attached to it, then it would be much easier to propagate the idea, to have the discussion going. So last year we had the partition, India's partition, which is year 2022 is the 75th year of India's partition. So we approached that from the diaspora, the South Asian community living in Australia, in Sydney, how they perceive that topic. That was the topic last year. And this year, which just concluded, you mentioned about that, that was South Asian Women Speak. I mean, there was two plays written and directed by two South Asian women, how women are actually feeling about their position within the the society.
Thank you for telling us your story. In fact, we have covered a lot of ideas, a lot of experiences, and I believe that you will be doing some work with ABC's Radio National on India, the 75th anniversary celebrations or stories about the partition that happened 75 years ago in India. So thank you, Neil, for giving us your story, and I would like to congratulate you, and I admire the fact that you have jumped from business IT to media and the arts. Not an easy step, but you have made it, and I'm sure you enjoy the life that you are having.
Thank you, Menaka.
You've been listening to Colours of Australia on 2RPH. I'm Menaka Iyengar Cook. Our guest today has been Mr. Neil Banerjee, actor, director, playwright of Northankey Theatre in Western Sydney. His recent efforts has been the South Asian Festival, which took place in Parramatta in early November 22. Visit 2rph.org.au to find out when you can hear this program next or access their program on demand feature.